Hello guys, I've decided to do a new video. In this video I want to give you an evolution of my cameras. So back in 1997 I used a point and shoot camera, a Canon point and shoot camera like this. It was alright, but it was a bit rubbish really. After a while I realised that it was no good for certain conditions, such as in the dark or in very bright sunlight. So I decided to get an Olympus OM10. Now I used that on my part-time evening course that I did, and it looks like this, and it was really nice. It had a Zuiko 1.8 lens on it, and it was fantastic. And sometime after that my parents decided to treat me to a second-hand 5D, an original one which was film-based, just like the Olympus one. And it had brilliant autofocus, and it had brilliant eye detection focus, and I wish the modern day cameras still had that, where you just look at a focus point and it focuses on it instantly. It was fantastic, that was. But then I sort of fell out of love with photography for a while, and was working, and then decided, well, why don't I get back into it again? So then I picked up the 600D, which is an old crop sensor camera by today's standards. You can still pick one up second hand for about 250 quid, and it's a good camera. It's just the buffer is a bit crap. So then I got myself a second hand 7D for £400, and it's fantastic. 8 frames a second, brilliant autofocus. I don't see the need to upgrade that to the Mark II, to be honest. And it's really nice. A lovely camera for doing all around photography, as well as doing what I like to do, which is wildlife photography, and that's why I use big lenses like this. So it was fantastic, but I soon realised I wanted something that was full frame. So I basically got myself a 5D original. Now you can pick those up quite cheap, between £350 and £400. I think it cost me £400, and it was alright, but I realised it was limiting. The focus wasn't that quick compared to my 7D, and also I found it limiting in terms of its ability to do any sort of video, because you can't do any video on it at all. So it's a bit stupid really, that, because you want to just switch a switch and do a bit of video and then go back to photography mode and take pictures again. So I soon got rid of the original 5D. Don't get me wrong, it's a decent camera. And if any of you guys want to get into full frame with its 12.8 megapixel sensor, it's a cheap way into full frame. But then I decided to pick up a 5D Mark II. Couldn't afford the 5D Mark III or the 5D Mark IV, but the 5D Mark II, you can buy it for a reasonable amount of money. And I think it cost me about £550, something like that. And it's a good camera, and surprisingly the video that comes out of it is quite clean, so I do like that a lot. But then as time was going on, because I always like to have 3 cameras on me, you see, if I was to do any work, I've got 3 camera bodies, so if one fails you've always got a backup. But soon realised that the 600D that I bought prior to them two, obviously, wasn't that great, and I didn't like it that much, because when I took about 5 raw pictures, the buffer choked, and that were it. And its frames per second was quite low. I think it was around 4 frames a second, something like that. So I didn't like it that much really. Having a low shutter speed, in terms of the frames you can take, I mean, on the 5D Mark II is fine, but if you've got a crop sensor designed to take wildlife pictures, you want something that's quick. So then I decided I'd sell the 600D and upgrade to this, the 80D, with its dual pixel autofocus, 7 frames per second. I think it's about 21 raw pictures you can take, so the buffer's decent, and it's a decent camera. Obviously it's not as well built as my 7D or my 5D Mark II, however it is a decent camera really for anyone who's interested. It's got the full opening screen, it's got headphone jack as well as mic jack, shutter release, remote release, sorry, It's got USB, HDMI, and then on the back you've got a thumb wheel on there, so you can actually change the aperture while you're changing the shutter speed with the top dial. So it's a good camera. It's got all the main options on there, such as manual, aperture priority, shutter priority, all that. So it's a good camera if you're interested, and if you want to do something for blogging and have good autofocus, you can't go wrong with this. There are other models that you can buy, such as the 760D, 750D, the 200D. Those are cheaper alternatives and smaller cameras. But that's more or less my evolution of cameras, and I think I got to a point now where I don't really need to buy any more cameras unless these fail, and I'll just end up upgrading to the newer versions. But I just want to talk about second-hand equipment for a little minute, because two of my cameras are second-hand. This is obviously new. You can pick this up about £250 cheaper than the normal retailers if you decide or are willing to buy a grey import. A lot of videos I've seen out there, such as Fake Britain, which talks about fake products coming into the UK, says grey imports are fakes. They're not. They're actually from the manufacturer. They're just made for a different region. But don't be scared of getting second-hand equipment, guys. If it's well cared for and well looked after, there's no reason why a second-hand camera shouldn't do you good service and last you a long time. So I just wanted to talk about the cameras I've gone from, and the reason that I've always gone for a better camera is it does help your workflow. It does give you confidence that you're more of a professional than an amateur. You know, an amateur will be happy with a budget camera, such as the 600D. If you're an amateur and you just want something that you can use from time to time, the 600D is a brilliant camera. Keep it. Don't bother upgrading. You don't need to. But if you're someone like me who's constantly evolving, improving, need multiple cameras for doing different things, it's a good thing to keep on top of your photography and try and improve yourself a lot. So if you're going to improve yourself a lot, you're going to improve your equipment a lot as well. So instead of the kit lens, you want an L lens. Instead of the budget digital SLR, you'll want the mid-range SLR, or the top of the range like a 1DX. That's if you got the budget for it, that is. And that's something else I want to talk about. Photography, and be mindful if you want to get into photography, because if you want to get into it seriously, on the serious level, it's going to cost you a lot of money. If I was to estimate the camera gear, it could be anything between £5,000 and £7,000. You know, that if you want to get into photography seriously, you'll need to spend. However, if you're on a budget and you just want the basic kit, you can probably do it for about £500 to £1,000, £500 to £1,000 on a budget. So I just wanted to give you an idea of my evolution of where I've come from, you know, in terms of how I started, how I developed, and where I am now. I think where I am now, I'm up to a level where I feel I should be in a position to do professional gigs like weddings, portrait shoots, live events, that sort of thing. So it's all about learning and improving yourself, guys. Constantly learn, constantly watch. A book I would highly recommend that you guys do read is Michael Lanford's Practical Photography book. There's various editions of it he's done, but it was the book I went to when I was at college. The book. Forget about anything that other people have written, like Tony Northrup. He hasn't been in the photography field very long, and he's not someone I would consider an accredited professional. Michael Lanford is, and other photographers similar to him are. So I would highly suggest you get one from that has been recommended by your college or university and study it. And I hope you enjoy your photography.
you.